you? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Coach. How are you doing today?
Hey, man. We're glad to be back. We're happy to be here. I will say I was really comfortable in my bed waking up this morning, but
who are you telling?
For the love of the pod, we are here.
For the love of the pod and our halftime podcast community, as always, you know how we start the day. Peace, blessings, and prosperity to everybody that is a part of our community. What episode is this, Coach?
Episode 54.
Ooh, you look like you were guessing there.
No, I knew. Don't you worry.
Yes, episode 54 of the halftime podcast. We are in season 2. We know it hasn't been all around the consistency of how it used to be, but you know what? Life is lifing for a lot of people, you know. And we want to continue to give you the best show always, but in times where we are unable to do so, where we're able to get in studio to do the halftime podcast, we are always capable and able of bringing you Coach's Corner, which is a presentation that is presented by the halftime podcast. So whenever we're unable to get in studio to get the top tier production, we're always able to provide you a subsec opportunity via Coach's Corner, where you can still get some access of me and Coach giving our opinions on sports topics throughout the course of the week and inviting other coaches that we have a community with. All right, Coach, just wanted to let the people know that it's been a rough couple weeks, rough couple months coming into season 2. But are you ready to start the show, Coach?
Let's get right into it, man.
All right, first and foremost, I just want to say condolences to the family of Marshawn Nealon. That was very, very unfortunate to hear about the passing of him. Obviously, they're classifying it as a suicide, and I believe that that's what it is. I'm just going to go with that. I hope that his family and his friends and his loved ones can find some, somewhere along the lines of some type of solace, some type of, coping with this. It's never really something that is easy to deal with when you have a passing of a loved one that is just, out of left field. You don't really see it coming like that, and it can hit a lot of people very hard. So I hope and pray that his family will be able to find strength during this hard time. And from the halftime podcast community, we hope that that family can get a little bit of comfort as they deal with the tragedy that they are dealing with.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sir.
All right, let's get right into it. The halftime give and go. You know the rules, and the rules must apply. First up, it's on me. Let's talk about Washington Commanders cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, who will be out for the season now. I just want to say, Washington is experiencing the most tumultuous year that I can think of in recent memory. I think the closest thing to this that I remember was the year. Well, actually, the Ravens are experiencing now, but I think a couple years ago, Kansas City was dealing with a lot of injuries as well. And so now with Marshawn Lattimore out, it feels like the Washington Commanders should just reset this season and try to figure out exactly how they can get themselves ready to play next year, because this year won't be it. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Logan Wilson. He's out of Cincinnati and on his way to Dallas. Linebacker that is obviously was on a team and an organization that was headed nowhere. Cincinnati is going to have a lot of questions this offseason about how much they're going to keep this team together, because offensively they can be a juggernaut, but defensively they need all the help in the world. And now that they have traded one of their better linebackers, I'm interested to see how this offseason will go for them. But hopefully Logan Wilson can provide the Dallas Cowboys what they are missing, as we will talk about them later on. All right, Coach, it's on you. Jaden Daniels, what you got for him, Coach?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels suffered that pretty gruesome injury.
Elbow,
I believe dislocated it, but news came back that he doesn't have to get surgery for it. So I don't know how Commanders fans feel about that. If I was a Commanders fan, I'm telling the organization that we got to sit this kid for the rest of the year
Yes.
because we need to protect our most prized asset and actually try to provide some longevity to his career and not have it be, like I've been saying, another RG3 2.0, right? So very important that they handle this very seriously.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Coach, moving on. Jacoby Myers, what you got for him, Coach?
Yeah, he gets traded at the trade deadline to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Honestly, went from one bad situation, very bad situation, to maybe a less bad situation, but also not great, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Jacksonville has had their struggles. They're looking, they're on the upturn a little bit. They've kind of changed the culture, I guess you could call it, since last season, but still a lot of questions at multiple positions on that team. I hope he could thrive there. He's a solid player, but still a lot of questions with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, continuing, Coach. We got Joe Alt with the Los Angeles Chargers. I always want to say San Diego. That's crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, he suffers a season-ending ankle injury, which is very unfortunate. He's honestly, this is year 2 for him, I believe, and he's already one of the better tackles in the league. We knew he was going to be that coming into the league, and it sucks for the Chargers. Huge blow, right? I mean, you've got 2 outstanding tackles at that position, but losing Joe Alt, I mean, that is a big loss. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery, gets the rehab he needs, and is ready to come back firing on all cylinders next season.
Yes. All right, last but not least, is back on me. We got Draymond Jones, the former Tennessee Titans linebacker who is now with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that this was a necessary pickup for the Ravens as they need to add more depth to that defense as it is recovering and getting back healthy. I think that is a thing to watch out for a lot of teams in the AFC. This Ravens team has a record due to their health, and that's why they were obviously underperforming. But now that they're getting back healthy and they're adding pieces, this could be one of those teams that once they start hitting on all cylinders will be a problem coming into the playoffs, and it could just be on their side that you have the injuries early so you're healthy later on. All right, that has been the halftime give and go. We want to remind everyone, if you enjoy the content here at the Halftime Podcast that is provided to you and all your friends and loved ones, please click and subscribe and follow our YouTube channel at the Halftime Pod. It's one thing to comment, it's one thing to like, but we also need you to subscribe. We need you to do all 3. Get into that comment section. Make sure you are liking. Make sure you are also sharing as well. But make sure you are also subscribing so that way you are always up to date. Along with that, please follow both me and Coach Conrad on our Instagram accounts. You can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and you can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it. If you ever want to entertain any conversations about things and topics that you've seen on the Halftime Podcast, and or you want to talk to us about anything related to basketball, AAU, or any sports you want to just talk about in general, we love the conversations, we love the banter, and as always, we're open and welcome to talk about any training for any athletes or kids that you have. Along with that, we want to remind everybody that we have merch. You can always look and find that in our bio on Instagram. Is right there as a link, and you can always use our coupon codes as well for any purchases that you want. You can use halftime 15 for 15% off on anything you buy over $100 for sorry. Whew, I'm just ahead of myself.
You got it.
Over halftime 15 for anything over $70, halftime free for anything over $100 for free shipping, and then you get halftime 5 for anything 5% off on all purchases, no matter what the price is. So yeah, click the link in the bio, get that merchandise, follow me and Coach, and you can always stay connected to the Halftime Podcast family. All right, Coach, you ready to move on?
Let's play our game, Coach.
Let's play our game. Who's cooking and who should stay out the kitchen? Number 1 on Who's Cooking. It pains me to have to say this because I'm not a fan of this team, but I have to give a little respect to the Dallas Cowboys, and this is going to be a theme today. We're going to talk a little bit more about them, but they made some big moves. Jerry made sure that he backed up his words by saying that they were going to make a splash, and God, they did. They went out and got Logan Wilson first, and that was a quiet move that nobody kind of anticipated, but it wasn't the splash that everybody thought was going to happen, and then Before you know it, there was the splash. Quentin Williams, the defensive tackle, Pro Bowl defensive tackle from the New York Jets, is now on the Dallas Cowboys, Coach. What do we make of Dallas and Jerry? And we don't have to give it all away because we'll talk about them later. But what do we make of this really quickly?
Yeah, I think their ability to be able to flip some of those picks that they got in the Micah Parsons trade
was
to be
beautiful.
able to put it right into this Quentin Williams move and picking up Logan Wilson, two key positions that they've been needing help at on that Cowboys defense. Granted, they need corners as well, but I'm sure that's something they're going to be looking to build through the draft and possibly free agency. Asante Samuel is still a free agent. Asante Samuel Jr. is still a free agent. I'm pretty sure he's worked out with the Dallas Cowboys, so I think that's a very intriguing move to see where he ends up signing. But Dallas has been playing some better football as of late. We know what the offense can do. They can put points up on the board. Dak has looked pretty solid for the most part, but the defense has been lacking, right? But these are two huge additions to this defense that was definitely much needed. So, hey, man, when they need a move, the move gets done.
And who was the defensive tackle that they got in the Michael Parsons?
Kenny Clark from the Green Bay Packers.
So now you got Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark in the interior.
Absolutely.
Woo, I feel bad for any interior lineman right now that goes against the Dallas Cowboys. You have your hands full between the centers and guards. That's going to be dangerous.
And I think you get great value in both of those guys. I mean, Kenny Clark is a little bit older than Quentin Williams, but man, Quentin Williams is still on the younger side of being in the league. And I mean, you could have him for a lifetime if you pay the man, right? Great move, in my opinion. Very necessary moves.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue to move on to another team that's cooking. We're staying in the NFL. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the rich get richer. Still adding more to their defensive depth. And I just, when it comes down to the Eagles, they're becoming a team that you used to love and now you want to hate. That's how quickly it kind of turns from like, okay, are y'all trying to compete or are y'all just trying to run the board? Because now every single time you turn around, they're finding themselves with a cheaper version of a Pro Bowl player on this side and a cheaper version of a Pro Bowl player on the offensive side. And then they're finding a way to wiggle out a disgruntled superstar from over here for a 6th-round pick and things like that. So it's like, I don't know how they always do it, but Howie Roseman up there as a GM is obviously a genius and knows what he's doing. That's why he's been there so long, and that's why I don't ever foresee him getting fired. He's the type of guy that's just going to retire and leave. I don't think he's ever going to be in a situation where his job is in jeopardy. But the Philadelphia Eagles just find a way to always add to their depth, add to their team, and it feels like when you feel like you want to count them out and feel like they might not have it all to be able to duplicate their success, right on time, they add pieces and get people in to help them continue this train going. So what do you think? What do you make of the Philadelphia Eagles? Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys did what they did, and the Philadelphia Eagles are still bolstering. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing short of just saying that Howie Roseman is definitely the best GM in football right now as far as being able to get moves done. Now, how sustainable is that going to be 5 years down the line? I'm not too sure, right? Eventually, he's going to miss on a couple of those trades, on a couple of those draft picks. Right now, I mean, the man has been absolutely flawless, right, in some of those assets. So it's going to be interesting to see how things move from here, but I mean, Philly has been a contender the past couple of seasons. We know what they're all about. We know who they got on both sides of the ball, and they added even more to that. So I feel like also going into that, like I feel like for some teams the salary cap just doesn't exist. Like they could just pay players whatever, they could just trade for whoever. Like you see these teams like Kansas City and Baltimore and now Philly are just trading for players left and right when we know they're paying, tens of millions of dollars to already players in the building and still getting players in. So I don't know how to feel about that, but hey, man, if you could strike gold the way that Philly has been
keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. That's the way that works. All right, Coach, let's move on to our favorite part of the game. Let's talk about who should stay the fuck out the kitchen. And number one, man, you know what? I don't want to say they have to stay out the kitchen because they're actually rolling this season, but they definitely need to pause and consider themselves moving away from the stove and taking a look at their ingredients and finding out if they got everything that they're supposed to have in order to cook this proper meal. And that's the Indianapolis Colts. I know that they're rolling, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But they just gave up 2 first-round picks for a cornerback who has not been showing this season that he's locking anybody down. And that's Sauce Gardner. Now, from what I have read, the conversation that was had between the 3-part of the owner, I think the oldest daughter, and the GM, was basically not to waste this season. If you felt like there was a void to fill, then go fill the void. And obviously, the Indianapolis Colts felt like they needed help in their secondary, especially in the cornerback position. They obviously trade for one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, who's making a lot of money. A lot of money. The reason why I'm pessimistic about this is because we've seen the effect of the Jalen Ramsey thing and how that really didn't do too much for a lot of teams that he went to post the Los Angeles Rams. Since he's left the Rams, it has not been the whole Jalen Ramsey effect of adding that much value to your defense. This is not to say that the cornerback position is not crucial. I just don't know in overall value how much it adds to what your defense is going to be able to do consistently if that cornerback is not at the height of its prime and locking down every single receiver that they come in contact with. And what I mean by that, I'm thinking like prime time. I'm thinking like Richard Sherman when he was with the Seattle Seahawks when they went on their run to the couple Super Bowls, where he was literally a no-fly zone area. You literally did not want to throw his way. I don't know if that's Sauce Gardner. So I'm a little concerned about whether or not this was a good move for the Colts, but I guess time will tell. But off of my first gut, I did not like this. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people in the NFL community have saw the trade at first and were like, oh my God, like I did not expect this. But also secondary to that was like, kind of an overpay, in my opinion, right? I think giving up 2 first-round picks for a corner that obviously is still very young, has a lot of promise, I'm pretty sure is a Pro Bowler, like, yeah, great corner to add to your team, but at the price of 2 first-round picks, I'm not sure that's the market for a cornerback in this league, right? So I don't want to steer too far away from course with that because I feel like that could branch into different conversations. But, I mean, solid player, good pickup for them. I just feel like the Colts are going to be having issues starting very soon, and I think that comes off of the way they played last week. Like, if you stop the Colts' run game, you will beat the Colts.
Yes.
Because Daniel Jones then gets this frantic look on his face that everybody saw in New York, right, when he was with the Giants, and starts playing.
Well, he has to go out. Yeah, he has to go out there and dime it up. He has to see the field.
If we look at the metrics of it, and there is a statistic out there if anybody wants to go look on X and you don't believe me, but for quarterbacks that play in system, so like the system percentage of actually generating a good throw and the quarterback playing in system, Daniel Jones is like up here in the upper right corner, meaning it's a great system, and he's also playing great within the system. Right. So, I mean, once defenses are able to counter to that, which is what I've been saying, like, I feel like since the beginning of the year, like, I think what we see in the first 5 to 7 weeks from a football team is great and definitely helps with your playoff chances for the rest of the year. But what happens after week 7, week 8, going on
when there's enough
film from this season for teams to start adjusting? I think that's what we're going to start seeing with the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to be like, well, we know what Daniel Jones can't do. We know what they're trying to accomplish with Jonathan Taylor, right? So we're going to just take away that, make Daniel Jones
make him beat us.
Yeah, make him beat us, right? At the end of the day.
Make him beat us. And that's something that he has not been capable of doing since his entire time in the NFL. And this is why, I mean, earlier on in the year when we were having our conversations about the Colts, and you were just, just kind of, I guess, joyfully and melancholically was just like, I'm on the bandwagon, blah, 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 until they get beat. You got to ride with them. It was obviously out of pure, like, joy for the Colts, doing something different and, being a different football team. But it was obviously cautious about the fact that you wasn't really believing in the Colts. You weren't really sold on them, but it was just a fun storyline. And now with what happened with Pittsburgh, which I think we talked about last week when we did our predictions. I said that was a game that I felt like they were going to lose.
Yeah, and that Mike Tomlin was going to show why he's Mike Tomlin.
Yep. And now that they have, everybody's antennas is up on like, okay, is the magical run over with? So now we're going to have to find out how they bounce back, which is why the Sauce Gardner thing was so like, okay, they obviously saw something too. And so now they're trying to counterattack what they felt like is a deficiency at the quarterback position versus everything else. But I don't want to hold on too long, but I just wanted to say, obviously, we see that and we'll see how the Colts respond going forward. But let's quickly pivot to another NFL team that should... Are they out the house now? I don't know if they're out the house.
They won last week, but they also traded for a guy named Joe.
They traded for me, Coach. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Okay, they filled the need. Whoop-de-doo. But we still don't have an edge rusher that means anything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. Montez Sweat obviously needs somebody alongside of him on the opposite side, i.e. like a Chase Young or somebody like that can command a different type of presence. And the Bears, for some reason, are just hell-bent on not doing so. It's like they've decided that for some reason the pass rusher is going to be their development project. That edge rusher that we're going to get is going to be somebody that Dennis Allen is going to create in a Madden My Player mode right at Hallis Hall, and he's going to put this piece together and put that piece together, and then we're going to formulate this pass rush of Lawrence Taylor like type abilities, while simultaneously missing out on obvious opportunities at every deadline for the past couple of seasons to add that type of value at edge rusher. Why? What is going on? Like, do they not see that this is a glaring need for them? Why are the Chicago Bears in this situation, Coach?
I think right now they're just overly cautious because they see our record, right, sitting at 5-3, and you would like to make the playoff push this year, but I think in the right state of mind, they also understand that they just paid a lot of guys extension dollars that are hurt right now. TJ Edwards is going to have surgery.
Yes.
Kyler Gordon is out, and he just got extended. Jalen Johnson is out for the foreseeable future, and he just got paid.
Yeah.
They're giving out a lot of money to guys that are not on the football field. So to try and make a trade to fill a need right now and make that splash, even with Dio, right? You pay the guy $16 million.
He's out for the season.
Yeah, he's out for the season. He tore his ACL. So my problem isn't necessarily like with the moves that we're making. I think it's like
the moves that we're not making.
Yeah, I think it's like the players that we're trading for. For whatever reason, we think that, the answer, I guess, for Dennis Allen has been, I want an athletic defensive end, right? Which is the whole reason why we gave Dio that money, because he's athletic. He's a more athletic defensive end. That's
you already had somebody like that in Austin Booker, in my opinion.
Right, which he was hurt. Granted, he finally played against Cincinnati, and man, he made an impact on that game. So maybe they're betting on the fact that they could get more out of him. Maybe they're confident in him in this progression in year 2 now, and for him to take that next step. We will see, right? I'm confident in the kid, but I also know he ain't no Pro Bowler just yet.
Yeah.
Right? And honestly, that's what we need when you have a depleted cornerback room that's damn near on IR.
Yeah.
You need to get to the quarterback because the corners in coverage cannot just cover for 3 to 4 seconds and expect them to be able to cover every single time. That's why Cincinnati was all over us last week because they just had time to throw. But
we'll talk about that more.
I just want to end it with this. Trading for a guy like this, it's just another scheme fit guy, right? This is a guy that's just going to be rotational, and
that's it.
That's all it is. But I feel like we missed great opportunities. But again, they're trying to be cautious, but sometimes you cannot be gun shy.
We'll get more into it because we definitely got a segment to talk about that. So I want a little bit more of your opinion on that. But that has been our game of who's cooking and who should stay out the kitchen. All right, Coach, are you ready to continue to move into our show?
Let's get right into it.
Let's move right into the halftime report. Clearly, I am feeling much better than I did last week. So, yes, Yes, ginseng and citrus tea, baby. Get some of that if you're ever getting sick. Put that in your body and in your system. All right. Let's talk about this week nine. We had some games. Obviously, the Bears was a classic. You had, them winning out a shootout against Cincinnati, which almost turned the other way and went ugly for a period. The Panthers surprisingly beat Green Bay. I think that was my big in Lambeau. That was the biggest surprise to me.
Hey, that was my pick.
Didn't you? You did. You did take the Panthers for that, which is so weird. We know about the Patriots winning. The Steelers won. The Rams put BTA to the Saints, which we expected. Kansas City eventually made that a game with Buffalo because at the beginning Buffalo was really going crazy. But out of these litany of games that we had past Sunday, any of these outside of the Panthers games that was much of a shocker to you?
Hey man, I think a shocker to me was the fact that Titans and Chargers game was close.
Yeah.
And I think, that's like your prime, of course the Panthers, right? But besides that, the fact that game was close just shows again, this is the NFL. You have to come ready every week. It does not matter who you're playing.
Yeah.
Right? Which, people try to, just to talk about the Bears real quickly, they try to degrade and kind of discredit the Bears for winning the games they have because of the opponents they've played and the defenses they played. But again,
you just got to go out there and play. You got to go out there and play.
Right?
Yeah,
you have to go out there and win. It's a whole NFL team you're going up against. So that was probably my surprise of the week. I was inclined to say Seattle against Washington being that bad.
Yeah.
But Washington has really taken a turn downhill since they lost that game against the Bears,
and they've also lost so many players.
That as well, right?
Yeah, so they're just injured.
It's two things, right? It's like Washington has definitely been playing below expectations, but Seattle has also been absolutely fantastic this year. Jackson Smith-Njigba has been making his case for Offensive Player of the Year so far.
Yeah,
and he's on pace to set a record, I believe, in reception yards and I believe receiving touchdowns, which is outstanding. Sam Darnold is continuing the success he had since last year.
Oh yeah, he still got the KOC hangover.
Yeah, which is crazy to see. But I think Chargers and Titans being that close.
Yeah, I would say the Washington game wasn't a surprise to me. I think Washington just can't overcome the injuries that they have. Losing Austin Eckler has really messed up their run game. Having Deebo Samuel and McLaurin in and out of the lineup is not helping their offense as well. Their defense obviously has had injuries. They've lost corner. They're just banged up. They literally can't overcome the major injuries that they have at key players on their team.
Yeah, and I think they just lost Luke McCaffrey last week too, who was pretty solid for them. Yeah,
and Jaden Daniels has been in and out of the lineup. So this season for them is a throwaway. I won't say it would have been nice for them to be healthy just to see whether or not there would have been a true sophomore slump for Jaden, and if he would have been evaluated properly, if everybody stayed healthy, he stayed healthy, no injuries, it would have been nice to see if last year would have really been just a total fluke, or if this really is a team that you can say is a contender. But next season, if everybody's healthy, then we're going to get answers as to whether or not the first year with Jaden was a fluke. But other than that, all of the games were pretty, went the way that I thought. I think the Falcons and New England game was a little bit closer than I thought. But I guess the other surprise, which wasn't a surprise for me because I picked them, was Minnesota and Detroit. I picked Minnesota to win. And it's not, I'm such a believer in KOC that JJ McCarthy doesn't even bother me as being their quarterback. And the fact that they recently reported that he's so comfortable with their quarterback room that he's perfectly fine, that they don't need to make changes, just speaks volumes on the type of head coach he thinks he is and the type of developer he thinks he is when it comes down to quarterback. So I'm interested to see what the J.J. McCarthy experience does for the rest of the season with the Minnesota Vikings, because I do think there may be some untapped potential that we're going to see, and the Minnesota Vikings are going to be a little bit more dangerous than we thought with J.J. McCarthy as the quarterback coming to end this season. But other than that, any more surprises?
No, sir.
All right, you ready to move on, Course? Let's move on to our second segment. Let's get into these Bears. The Chicago Bears, obviously, as we stated, beat the Cincinnati Bengals this past Sunday, 47-42. And it was a really kind of just a shootout game. Both defenses didn't do too much, even though the Bears were able to get a couple takeaways to basically leave the Bears in better positions to get some easy scoring and things like that. Towards the end of the game, Cincinnati ended up putting up 2 touchdowns in the closing minutes. Caleb ended up having to throw I guess a game-winning touchdown drive or pass. Wasn't directly into the end zone, but it was off to Colston Loveland and the Cincinnati Bengals for the entire season and obviously throughout the duration of that game. Missed tackles, didn't wrap up Loveland, and he was able to scurry off into the end zone. I do believe that had it not been a touchdown play, we still would have drove down the field and got into field goal range. And then if we didn't score a touchdown, we would have had a chance with Cairo Santos to kick a field goal, and we probably still would have won the game with a field goal. So this is not me suggesting that by any means we were probably not going to that we were going to lose that game or Caleb was not going to be able to do that. But I will say that those takeaways definitely kind of altered the swing and the pendulum of how Cincinnati was scoring. They would be up versus how the Bears were scoring and they were up. Because at one point it was, if Cincinnati scored, they took the lead. Then the Bears took the lead, and it was just back and forth. So it felt like whoever had the ball last, essentially, until that second takeaway came, and the Bears were able to solidify a certain lead and a certain gap. It was just going back and forth, and whoever had the ball second to last, they were going to end up having a lead, type of thing. So, with that being said, what do you make of this football game? What does this prove for the Chicago Bears? Does it prove a lot? Does it prove nothing? Does it prove a little? Are you concerned? Should we be concerned? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I think my story with the Bears all season has been, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I mean, kind of similar to the Bulls, right? Like, I mean, we're playing well, but I'm also cautious about what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think, of course, the offense being able to put on the performance they did is solid, right? Like, that's what we've been looking for all year, is like that type of offensive explosion, being able to put up 47 points. We haven't seen in a while from a Bears team, and it is really nice to see. Granted, of course, you have to say, like, it's against the Cincinnati defense that has been struggling all year. Their cornerbacks are pretty okay. It's just that their pass rush and linebacker room has really been banged up. I mean, of course, Trey Hendrickson wasn't playing that game. Right? I don't know if Logan Wilson was playing that game either. I think he was banged up. I don't know if he played. He might have, but
I don't know. I'll have to check.
Regardless, Cincinnati has been struggling on that side of the ball. Now, when we were kind of going into this game and we were saying it was definitely a trap game and it's definitely a game we could lose, the reason why I was saying that is because I just knew how dangerous this Cincinnati team was on offense at home. Like, they're one of the better scoring offenses when they play at home.
Yeah.
And they showed that, man. Like, Joe Flacco had a career day at the age of 39.
Well, we also didn't have any cornerbacks. I was out there playing that day.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, when we're looking at moves we could have made, we're leaving stuff on the table, right? And that's the result of it. But again, Cincinnati, I mean, they've got great receivers over there. They got great skill position players. They got great concept. Like, the only thing that they've been struggling with is that offensive line as well, right? And of course the defense. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see that we won in a shootout victory. You know what I mean? In a week that the defense really was banged up and gave up 14 points in 50 seconds is absolutely crazy. Special teams had themselves a stinker of a day as well. Couldn't recover an onside, couldn't block for a field goal, couldn't cover on kickoff, right? I mean, Cincinnati returned the opening kickoff, right? So, I mean, just alarming things we saw all over. But again, what I've been saying with this Bears team all year, they're finding ways to win, like even in games where things aren't firing on all cylinders. And it's frustrating that they're not, but they're still finding ways to win, which is contrary to what we've been seeing the past 5 years.
Yeah, like I said, the Bears defense isn't good, but that 2.5 takeaways that they're averaging leads the NFL, I think, still, or at least it's amongst the top. And I talked about how they are, they're being opportunistic and they're gambling at the right times. And, it seems like, they're in the favor of the NFL gods right now with their gambles because they tend to gamble correctly and they're always able to come up with a takeaway. I do think though that, like, if that favor starts to change, then I think we will have issues with how this season will go forward. Those takeaways are playing a pivotal role and a major part in complementary football and helping us do things because the defense isn't being spectacular. You know what I'm saying? I just want everybody to understand this as Bears fans as you're watching the game. Our defense is still rated one of the lower tier defenses in the league. It's not as far as just our run stopping and pass coverage and different things like that. We're not one amongst the top, but our takeaways is what's helping us be able to, I guess, pad and kind of shield us from looking like the real defense that we really are. And so I think if that ever turns favor where we're getting these takeaways like that and it's not happening the same way, then I think that's when we'll be a little bit more alarmed about, how things are going. But I always have to, I still have to put into a situation for us that we're also injured too on defense. And so a lot of this is due to the fact that we're not healthy either. But like you said, we're still finding ways to win. And the best way to put it is to be cautiously optimistic, because if a few things go a little bit differently with the way our defense is able to get these takeaways, then we're looking at a whole different type of season potentially for how this is going to finish. But we're 5-3. We're boogieing on down in the NFC North. We're right there in the thick of it. We're right there in the hunt. So we'll be able to see how the rest of this season plays out and if the Bears will actually have an opportunity to make the playoffs. I'm sure they'll probably stay in the hunt all the way up until the end. If they make it, we'll see. If they don't, I think for us as fans, being competitive is probably the biggest thing that we can take away from the season, and that's obviously trending in the right direction for us. So as a Bears fan, I am happy. All right, Coach, anything else you wanted on that, or are you ready to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, let's talk about these New York Jets. Obviously, they have been a storyline all season, obviously, for not winning until the week prior, where they did obviously get a victory, and they were able to get their first win of the season. But this deadline, they were busy unloading. I think they unloaded 3 players of theirs, a linebacker, I forget his name, and then obviously we talked about Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner that they removed off of their payroll, number one, because that was obviously what this was about, unloading their payroll. But they also picked up a lot of picks. And I guess my question is, with the way the season was going, and obviously I'm sure in those locker rooms, it was very chaotic, high tension, some sidebar conversations, and maybe guys not buying into the culture in which Aaron Glenn was trying to establish. From my point of view and how I'm looking at this, for these 2 assets to be unloaded, it feels like there may have been some internal disgruntledness between new coaching staff, organization, and those key players that were once part of what the New York Jets saw as their future. Now that they have been unloaded and the Jets have received the packages that they received for both, do you think that this was a great decision for the Jets to do, number one? And 2, do you think now, with the turn of events of moving these players, freeing up that cap space, and also getting the picks that they have, do you think the Jets' future is actually going to be brighter than what people think now?
Okay. To answer that first part of the question, absolutely. I think it's the right move to get rid of players like that. I mean, granted, they're Pro Bowlers and they're solid players to keep your team somewhat competitive in these games, but there's no point of wasting their time here. You paid them already. Let them go ball somewhere else and just reap the repercussions of that, right? Granted, you still have to pay their guarantees and their bonuses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in the long run, in essence, this is the right move. Now, secondly, do I think the Jets have a bright future? They should, but they don't. Because I do not trust the Jets as an organization to make the right moves.
Well, they fired their GM.
Right, but regardless, I just don't. The Jets are the Jets at the end of the day. When's the last
time?
They
didn't fire their GM. Miami did. My bad. I'm sorry.
When's the last time the Jets have actually been competitive and have sustained competitiveness? Probably since Darrelle Revis was the last time.
Nah, right? Since Broadway Joe, baby.
Even
that's the last time that they've been competitive.
So I mean, it's
Rex Ryan.
Maybe
during his time,
maybe
a little bit of his time,
a little bit, right?
Yeah,
I mean, but regardless, this is a organization that has proven they can't draft, right? although their last 2 drafts, they've taken 2 tackles, but those were the best tackles in the draft.
I think that was a good start in the right direction.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But my concern is that they never been able to draft great at like the skill positions, right? You've got Garrett Wilson, you got all these guys, yes, but have they actually resulted in production onto the field as much as you would have wanted it to be? No. And it's like, maybe this is a similar situation in which the Bears were a couple years ago when they were unloading some of their talent because they knew they weren't going to be competitive. And maybe they could build something like we've built, right? Where we've got talent that fit, that fit the scheme that we're trying to build, and Aaron Glenn can now instill his culture fully, because I think also another part of this is that those 2 guys, having already been paid by this Jets organization and, having been coached by not Aaron Glenn and receiving those contracts goes a long way, right? I think they were probably
not buying in.
They were not buying in. They were comfortable with where they were at, right? And it's like, well, if we're going to suck, at least I'm making $30 million a year as a cornerback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, great move by the Jets. I just got to see it play out, because right now I'm not a believer in them actually being able to draft and build something from within.
Yeah. I'm on the, I'll say that I think it was a smart move, obviously. I think at this point in time with their season and the way that it was going, it was perfect timing to let those players go, get assets for them, obviously, when they're at high value. I think for the future, I like that I think they're going to be in a perfect situation to actually turn things around. I think they've already
They should be, but will they be?
I think they will. And and the reason why I think they will is because picking up the tackles that they picked up on the offensive line tells me that they're thinking smarter than they have in the past.
Okay.
The way teams draft and the decisions that they make in the draft lends to tell you exactly where they are thinking wise and if they're heading in the right direction. And I think the past couple of drafts, I've liked what the Jets have done as far as being able to start working on their offensive line, which has been a glaring weakness for the longest of time. Even when Aaron Rodgers was over there, that was the reason why, his season went the way it was, because he couldn't get off the he couldn't get off the ground.
That's the reason that whole project just failed.
Yeah, because he couldn't get off the field because they kept hitting him. He was always getting pressured. Same thing with the quarterback that they had before Aaron Rodgers. What was this? Zach Wilson. He was also having the same issues. The offensive line was very, very bad. So seeing them work on solidifying their tackle positions and then obviously going to move into the interior and things like that, which they already had a decent guard, but like we spoke about earlier in previous episodes, he went down earlier this season, and so they lost him. I think that they are going to be able to build the type of team that Aaron Glenn wants, and that is going to be fruitful. How long it's going to take, I don't know. I'm seeing this as a 3-year project. Year 2 of this, we'll be able to see some progress. Year 3 of this is when we'll be able to determine whether or not the Jets are going to be a good football team.
Okay.
But I do think they're heading in the right direction. I like Aaron Glenn as head coach. I think he understands what he's trying to accomplish. I think he has a clear vision. And I think the moves of trading Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner lends to believe that the Jets organization also trusts Aaron Glenn and what he is trying to accomplish. And I think they're going to give him the packaging to be able to get this done.
My only counterpoint before we move on is I just have always seen in recent years that the Jets are just very top heavy. They've got the big names, the guys that they draft in the first round, solid.
Right.
Great players. What they do after that, porous. Which is the difference between a successful organization and a organization, right?
Well, this will be the year that Aaron Glenn has an offseason.
That's what I mean. So maybe that is the upside, right? You're bringing Aaron Glenn from Detroit, which Detroit has history and has proven that they can. That they're great at drafting depth in the draft. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe
and that's what I'm saying. That's why they did the things that they did. This is them giving Aaron Glenn as many resources as possible to, I guess, in a way, speed up the process.
And to build his football team.
Right. But it's to help, I would say, it's helping him speed up the process a little bit. You're giving him multiple first-round picks from this and this and this and that. And now he can, speed that up and see what that can do. So I'm interested to see how the Jets will go, but I think everything that they're doing is putting them in the right direction. But let's talk about a team that I don't think is doing everything that they can do to put themselves in the right direction, and that is our Chicago Bears. But more specifically, I want to talk about Ryan Poles, who, all right, camera on me for a second. I'm just going to go, ISO real quick. Ryan Poles, I was very excited about you when you first came to the Bears because you were coming from Kansas City. You had a winning pedigree as far as what you were doing there. You were a part of something that was considered to be a dynasty. You were part of an organization that was drafting well and doing a lot of things. But since you have come to the Chicago Bears, I will say that you have done more questionable things than you've done things that are actually favorable. I don't know exactly what you think you're doing. I don't know if you think you're playing 4D chess and everybody else is not as smart as you, but you come off now to me as a narcissistic intellectual where you think you're the smartest and everybody else just can't figure out and they just have to wait for you to make it materialize, and then everybody will bow down to the feet of your genius. And that's not the case. You've missed out on a lot of opportunities, in my mind, personally, to help make this team the team that it could have been. You've missed out on opportunities to sign right tackles instead of drafting Darnell Wright, who, in my opinion, is okay, but I don't think he's going to be the Pro Bowl right tackle that you think he's going to be for the future. He has moments, he has flashes, but I don't think he's that great. You passed up on Jalen Carter to get him. You could have drafted a left tackle in this draft, but instead you went with Colston Loveland, who still has yet to materialize and show why he was a first-round pick in the first place. Because he's not balling like Tyler Warren is in Indianapolis, who was obviously the clear choice for being the best tight end in the draft, but you went with Colston because you're just so smarter than everybody else. Time and time again, you miss out on opportunities. You let Micah Parsons end up in your backyard with the Green Bay Packers, when clearly edge rusher is something that the Bears is definitively missing. You sign guys like Dio, who nobody even cares about, and gives him money like he's some type of premium pass rusher. You have yet to replace a linebacker at the level of Roquan Smith, and you keep trying to throw us TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds as if they're going to do something special for us. TJ Edwards is just a solid linebacker. Kudos. But as of late, he can't stay healthy. Jalen Johnson, who I love, is a lockdown cornerback at times. But I think he's going to be clearly somebody that we overpaid. And now he has injury issues. Kyler Gordon continuously have injury issues. For the love of God, we cannot figure out the left tackle position at all. And draft after draft, you continuously do not address that issue. You tried to sell us on Braxton Jones. That didn't work. Now you're trying to sell us on Theo Benedict because he's some big lumberjack. And that don't work. You're not smarter than everybody. Sometimes just making the obvious choice is the best choice. But your refusal to do anything to actually put this team in position to be a good team is insane to me. You have a limited window on Caleb's contract, his rookie contract. You have to do everything in your power to maximize now until this boy is taking up 30% of the salary, making about $60 to $70 million a year at that point. What are you going to do then when Caleb is making all that money? Where is the Super Bowl going to come from then? You got this illustrious staff, but your roster is not complete. every single major gaping hole you refuse to fill, from left tackle to edge rusher. You're getting cute with wide receivers. You're getting cute with the running back room. You're getting cute with the linebacker room. You're getting cute with the secondary room. But the two things that we glaringly need, you will not address. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of Ryan Poles. He's not the smartest guy in the room. He's a narcissist who believes that everybody doesn't get it but him. And we're scandalously winning games at the skin of our teeth. And that's saving his ass right now. But if the tables turn where our defense is not able to get these takeaways like they are, and we go on a run of losing games, then he will look like the stupid person that he is right now for not actually helping us be dominant while Caleb is on this rookie contract. Because once Caleb starts getting paid, if he is an MVP Caleb like Patrick Mahomes at that point, then everything that we supposedly were gearing ourselves up for will be for nothing. Because when quarterbacks start making money like that, it puts your team in jeopardy to actually be as good as they can be. That's my thoughts.
Well, okay. I'm going to be brief because we do have to move on. And I'm glad you had your ISO moment, which is great. But I think some of the moves absolutely questionable. Darnell Wright this season is on his way to a Pro Bowl season. So I disagree with you on that. Tremaine Edmonds is having his best season with the Bears since leaving Buffalo. Which, granted, it's his first year actually, being able to produce since he's come to Chicago, right? And that was like a big Ryan Poles move at the time, okay? So it's just now starting to materialize, which is a little too late, in my opinion. So I'm with you on that. TJ Edwards can't stay healthy. Solid. Pretty solid linebacker. But again, not necessarily a scheme fit now for the defensive coordinator that you do have. I mean, I agree with you on a lot of these things. And it's absolutely true that we have to maximize what we could do under Caleb's contract. And I think failing to make an actual impactful move at this deadline is going to prove to be not detrimental, but problematic. I think we're going to see as we get into December and into January that our lack of an actual impactful edge rush and an actual impactful pass rush is going to be the downfall of the Chicago Bears. Because we see that the cornerback room is not healthy. Granted, by that time, Jalen Johnson is projected to come back. Kyler Gordon is probably back by then. Yeah, but you've been out
all season. How effective are you going to be when a guy hits you on a hitch route and then they go?
We'll see.
You know what I'm saying? How your knees and everything going to hold up in those moments?
We will see because, again, Jalen Johnson is one of the more prolific cornerbacks in the league. And that is fact, right? So if there's any guy that can do it, it's him, right? So thankfully it's him. But I'm with you on the fact that I think at times Ryan Poles is trying to do this 4D chess thing, and I think this trade for this Joe guy out of Cleveland is just is example A of your whole premises, and I'm absolutely
like, why bother even make that trade?
Absolutely, there was no point, right? I mean, you still have Dominique Robinson as a backup edge rusher, right? So I mean, what? Maybe you just want a backup edge rusher for both sides.
You just want to fill your depth chart, so to make sure when you pull up your depth chart and you look at it, you go, okay, we got 3 here, we got 3 there, we got 3 there. Everything looks evenly proportioned.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I think the one thing that could help save a little bit of face is if he's able to land Asante Samuel Jr. I think that saves a little bit of face. But again, right, you've got the whole division competing for that player. Everybody has had a workout with him, from Detroit to Minnesota to Green Bay. If you could land them, though, I think that It helps. It definitely helps, right? With saving face a little bit.
But do we even have space for him? You know what I'm saying? Like
on the roster, we do. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm saying by the time everybody's returned, when Kyler gets back, you already got CJ Gardner Johnson.
Then again, what I was kind of talking about with you, right? CJ Gardner Johnson, he's just on a 1-year deal for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I know,
right?
I get that, but
and with again, Tyreek Stevenson still needs to get paid. I don't know if it's after this season or in 2 seasons, but if you get a guy in Asante Samuel Jr. who, when he's been on the field,
right,
which is a big point to make, has been very impactful. So maybe you do find your Tyreek Stevenson replacement in that, right, with Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say, but I agree. I think it was very saddening to see that we didn't pull the trigger. I think we did try to get Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, but the Jets were just unwilling to make a move with anybody to get rid of him.
No, the Bears just wasn't willing to pay the price point, and that's fine. But
apparently a 2nd-round pick wasn't enough for him, so you're gonna pay a 1st-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. I'm not too sure. Maybe that is the price, though.
Right, that might be the price. If Sauce Gardner going for 2 first-round picks, obviously Quentin Williams is going for what he's going for. Then Jermaine Johnson obviously fits around a couple 2nd-round picks. When you need help, you don't get to determine the value.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When you need the help, you don't get to determine the value. And I think that's the part of this that I'm bothered by. Clearly you need the help.
Yeah, the demand is high, but the supply is low, so that asking price is up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like clearly you need that, and you're just refusing to do it. But let's continue to move on. That was my rant on Ryan Poles, and I'm gonna continue to be on his ass because I don't think he's getting enough vitriol for how he's wasting the Chicago Bears time right now with what we can be and what we can materialize to be. He's bullshitting us and playing this game of I don't want to spend this and I don't want to, like, dude, let's make it happen.
Let's save that.
All right, we'll save it. All right, let's move on to another NFL team that I think is a different example of when we need the help, we go out and get it done, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. One thing you can say about Jerry Jones, you can talk about how he stays in the media. You can talk about how much of a distraction he is. You can talk about how people feel like he doesn't know football like he think he does. But one thing you can't say is that man does not put money behind what he says. He will definitely go out and spend the money on the players that he thinks can help him win games. He will take chances on players that have background issues and different things like that if they have the talent to contribute to his team and make his football team better. He tries actively, engagingly, all the time. And this deadline was a prime example of him turning the Micah Parsons trade, which was a sour situation on the Dallas Cowboys fans, into now being something that they can look at and go, okay, we're not as mad as we once was now. It hurt to lose Micah, but we're doing something, Jerry.
We got something cooking.
That is the example of how you utilize and maximize everything at your disposal to put yourself in the possibility of a chance to win a Super Bowl if that is truly your goal. And that is something that the Chicago Bears is not doing. But that's something that Jerry Jones continuously does. So I don't care what people can say about Jerry. You can say all the negative things. But his fans know deep down that he tries. He actually does put in the effort to put a good product on the field. Does it always materialize? No. But my question for you is this. With the recent moves that the Dallas Cowboys have done and with the way that the Dallas Cowboys offense is humming with Dak Prescott this year, now with the moves on defense that they have done, do you think the Dallas Cowboys are a favorite to find themselves getting into the playoffs and then being the team that you do not want to play for them to potentially have a Cinderella run to the Super Bowl?
Well, look, okay, right now they're second in their division and they're sitting at 3-5. They've got the Raiders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants.
They're the Cowboys. So who they have?
Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, all those teams.
Yeah.
Very tough schedule.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule, yeah.
So, I mean, these moves definitely help. I don't know if they reach the playoffs this year, but, I mean, again, you're gearing up your team hopefully to string together a couple of wins for the remainder of the season,
right,
to build some momentum going into the next year, right? Because it's not like we've got guys or they've got guys on expiring deals over there.
No, they got guys under
contract,
yeah,
and that is a huge thing when you're talking about a team like that. Is like maybe after somewhat of a porous season and maybe a little bit of a letdown from expectations, you're still able to run it back with the same roster because guys were banged up, right? Especially the defense. Defense didn't have all the help it could have had.
No.
Right? And you go into an offseason of being like, okay, if we address A and B, we'll be okay.
Right.
And Dallas, with these moves, has definitely geared themselves in the right direction, but I do think they need to be able to string together a couple of wins at the end of the season here, or for the second half of the season, I should say, to be able to give themselves kind of that confidence going into next season, because I don't think they have a chance at making the playoffs this season, just because they are in the NFC, and the NFC right now, record-wise, is really stacked.
It is. It's tight for everybody. Okay, so you see them being more of a favorite potentially for next season.
Next season, I think they're a very dangerous team, especially with how we've seen George Pickens really take another step.
Okay, I'll say this. If they can sneak into the playoffs, they're a team that you don't want to play.
Absolutely. Sure.
That's what I'll say.
Sure.
If they can find their way in the playoffs, they're a team that you do not want to play. If they don't make the playoffs this year, then like you said, I think next year they will be a team to watch out for.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach.
I second your opinion on the Jerry Jones thing. Like, I think the guy gets a deal done when he absolutely needs to get a deal done.
Yeah, he tries, man. He just tries.
It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, he tries, and as a fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see that the GMs and the owners are trying consistently, because you're paying, you're watching, you're spending your money. You don't want them to be frugal and withholding what they can and not expending the energy to give you the best possibility as a fan to watch something that's entertaining, to watch something that's good. You don't want them to shortchange you. You're not shortchanging them when you paying them premium seats and tickets and jerseys. You don't get to go and say, let me get a 40% discount for the fact that this team sucks. And then they go, you're right, 40% off. That's not how it works as a consumer. So I don't want them to give me a lack of energy and a lack of effort on their side of things as well. So that's one thing I can say about Jerry, and I'm gonna move on from there. But that has been the halftime report. Now let's move into the halftime predictions. And the music get the rolling. Yeah. Cook it up. Work. All right. I'm interested to see how you're going to do some of these games.
Okay.
And who you're going to pick. Well, let's get right into it, Coach. Obviously, we saw Thursday game. Obviously, that went to Denver, which was a really stinker of a game, 10-7. Bo Nix looked terrible. Look trash, but that Broncos defense is something that is going to be a problem.
Absolutely.
They're going to be a problem. And as much as I'm not a believer in Denver, if they get to the playoffs, the way that their defense is playing, if that defense can hold up, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them and get them out of the playoffs, especially for one game only. But let's move into the Falcons and the Colts. I believe for this game, I'm going to take Atlanta. I think the Colts, this is going to start that trend. You lose one, and all of a sudden it starts to, have a negative effect. So I'm going to take the Falcons for that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts. I think this game is in Berlin, actually. Yeah. It's a 9:30 game, but yeah, I'm going to take the Colts. I'm going to ride with the Colts.
They're going to right the ship?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Jacksonville and Houston. I'm going to go with Houston at home. Only because I think that this is a chance for them to rebound. So I'm going to go. Oh, wait. Is CJ Stroud in concussion protocol still?
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Never mind. I got Jacksonville. Yeah. I'll take Jacksonville.
I'm going to take Jacksonville as well. And that's a big game for them if they want to talk about playoffs. So.
Yes. All right. Moving on. Miami and Buffalo. Obviously, I got Buffalo. I do not have the Miami Dolphins for this.
Buffalo for that.
Yes. Yeah. Now, this could be an interesting game. It could end up being really competitive, or it can really be nothing because it'll be Cleveland and New York. But I'm going to take the Jets in this one. I think Justin Fields should be able to outplay Dylan Gabriel in this. Even though Cleveland no longer has Kevin Stefanski calling the play calls, he has relieved the duties to the OC. But I got the Jets for this one. I think they're going to ride into this a little high, coming off their victory and coming off a bye week.
for that and that reason only, the fact that they did just Kevin Stefanski let go of play calling, I'm gonna take Cleveland.
You got Cleveland?
I think with any team that kind of changes their play caller at some time during the season, it kind of gives them a new spark going into that first game, and some the defense isn't going to be able to prepare the same way because it's like, well, we don't know what they're going to do in third down.
Different schematics and stuff like that.
Give me Cleveland.
All right, New England and Tampa Bay.
That's a spicy one. That's a great game.
It could be a great game, or it could be a blowout. It could be BTA from Tampa Bay. But because Tampa Bay is at home, I'm going to go Tampa Bay for this one.
I'm going to go Tampa as well.
Yeah. All right. The game that nobody cares about, the Saints versus the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Panthers because the Saints are a G League football team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers as well here.
All right, we got New York, the Giants versus the Chicago Bears. We want to remind everybody that's listening to please tag us in any videos where you are trying to give your halftime prediction score. Again, the score has to be correct in order for you to win. You can either tag at the halftime podcast in that video when you upload it, or you can tag me and Coach individually so that we can see. But again, in order to get the $50 gift card, your halftime prediction score of the has to be correct for both teams. All right, Coach, who do you got for this game, and what's your halftime prediction score?
I'm taking the Bears. I think at halftime it will be. I think it's going to be 10-6 Bears.
Okay, I got the Giants for this game, and at halftime I got the score being 13-10, Giants leading.
Okay.
All right, Baltimore and Minnesota. As much as I like J.J. McCarthy and I talked about how I think that this could be good, Baltimore is getting healthy. Lamar Jackson is coming off a big game against Miami, and I think he's going to roll right into Minnesota and not bad weather conditions because they play in the dome, and I think that will help Baltimore, so I got Baltimore for that game.
Yeah, I'm taking Baltimore as well.
Seahawks versus Arizona. This is a divisional rivalry game. I got Seattle for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle, but I think this game is going to be very close. Anytime these two teams match up.
Kyler Murray isn't playing, though.
That's always a classic. Yeah, but Jacoby Brissett has been playing better than Kyler Murray this year.
That's
so
true.
I'm going to still take Seattle, though. I'm going to ride with them.
All right, what they have as the game of the week, and this is another divisional rival game. I don't think this game is going to be as grand as people think, so I got the Rams in a BTA situation.
I'm going to take the Rams as well. I think Matthew Stafford and company has been playing great football.
All right. Moving on, Detroit and Washington. This should be a layup for Detroit. Washington will probably not have Jaden Daniels, and they're banged up, so I got Detroit for this game.
Give me Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders. Mark it.
At home against Detroit? Interesting. All right. We got the Sunday night game of the Chargers and Pittsburgh. This game, Pittsburgh is going into L.A. I think this will bode well for them. They need some warm weather action. Plus, this is kind of like a homecoming game for Aaron Rodgers, who went to Cal. So I have Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Chargers at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers as well here. I think the Chargers are a little bit banged up, especially with Joel going down, and I think that Pittsburgh pass rush is going to be able to cause a lot of problems for Justin Herbert.
All right. And Monday night's game, I think this is a rematch of the NFC Championship game, right?
Yes, it is.
And I'm going to say this. Green Bay just got done losing to the
no, it's not, because
who was the NFC
Philly
Championship?
played Washington.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Washington got to the NFC Championship game. Washington beat Green Bay the game before to get to the NFC Championship game.
No, Washington beat Detroit. Philly beat Green Bay the week before. No, who did Green Bay lose to? The Rams.
No, I thought they lost to Washington. We'll find that out later. Anyway, point is, though, because they just lost to the Panthers, I got Green Bay winning this game because I think that they're going to try to respond at home after losing to the Panthers. I don't think they're going to let their fans watch them lose consecutive weeks at home. So I got Green Bay winning in a tight one. It'll probably come down to a last-minute field goal, but I think this will probably be the best game of this slate of games for this coming Week 10.
Philly did beat Green Bay in the wild card round.
Okay, that's
22-10.
Okay,
yeah. So
yeah. It's not a rematch of the NFC Championship game like I thought, but it's
still
a rematch
of the playoffs game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Philly.
You got Philly?
With Philly. I think they're my NFC favorite right now. Right, and they've been playing good, man.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
It'd be nice,
favorite,
hey man. And you know what? On X, on Twitter, whatever you call it, you know the Bears fandom and Philly fandom, we got a little connection going. We're supporting each other. Believe it or not,
there's some brotherly love between Philly and Chicago.
Love there is, and we're all uniting to hate on the Green Bay Packers. So give me Philly.
Well, whenever the Packers are in town or whenever the Packers are playing, it's just hate Green Bay all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of love for the team that's playing them. But yeah, that has been the halftime predictions. Again, we want to remind everybody to please follow and subscribe at our YouTube at the Halftime Pod. Follow me and Coach individually on our Instagram accounts. You can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ. You can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it. Want to remind everybody again that we have merch. Those coupon codes that you can use is halftime free for any purchases over $100 for free shipping. Halftime 15 for any purchases over $70, and halftime 5 for anything that you purchase, no matter what the price point is. And you can find that link in our bio. See, I did it much better this time. I remembered all of the codes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what episode is this, Coach, again?
Episode 54.
Episode 54. To the Halftime Podcast community, we thank you guys for rocking with us. Again, we want to extend peace, blessings, and prosperity to you. And we also want to also extend, again, our condolences to the family of Marshawn Nealon. As always, you know how we rock out when we leave. It's C-Red and bear down, baby.
Yes, sir.
Peace.